YouTube video with some chatting. I'm going to do a little walkthrough of this Sterling Ink B6 Part 2 Common Planner. So this is a half-year Common Planner from July to December. This is the only planner that I use. I'm very big into having everything in terms of productivity all in one book. And I thought I would walk through kind of how I use all the different pages and also how that might differ from what my plans are for 2025. So yeah, so let's get into it. So I keep this planner in this B6 Moterm cover. I can put my ebook in here. I keep stickers in here on this side. These are stickers that I tend to use on a daily basis. I've got some mood stickers in here from Paperbits Co. These are stickers I use to track headaches and vertigo. I've got some umbrellas here from Joyful Planning, which is a sticker shop that closed, which was very sad. It was local to me on Vancouver Island. And her stickers were amazing, very, very cute. And I just love the stuff that I have from her. I've got some Planner Monkey affirmations. Some Busy Bee doodles from the Coffee Monster Co. And then little nap icons, also from Paperbits Co. And I think I left one thing out here. Oh yeah, Allycats Shop. So I have these canceled. I have some other scripts from her as well. The cover of my planner, I usually try to collect stickers over the course of the time that I'm in this planner and stick them on the cover. Okay, so we're getting into the meat of the planner here. So this is where I track my period, my cycle. I just track on paper now. I'm using little details from Graceful Muse Papery, and this washi tape is really cool. It's from a local company called Hemlock and Oak, which you may have seen their planners, but I love their journals and their washi as well. I did a little letter to myself. This is something I was trying out. Claire from Online does this in her journals, and I thought it might be nice to try it out. But you see I had a 2-page spread here, and I barely filled a page before I forgot about it. So that might not be something that's coming with me into 2025. And then I've got my goals here. So initially, I'm not sure if this is any of this is like, I don't think it's really anything that I need to hide, but you can see it's not all filled out. I really struggle with goal setting. I think just because my day-to-day is so busy, and so thinking about the way that the goals pages in this planner is set up is kind of, well, I've taped over some of it, but it starts off with kind of like someday, and then 5 years, 1 year, 6 months, monthly, weekly, daily. And I've changed it. I wanted a space to kind of add in what my value is around these six pillars. And then kind of my overall goal for that pillar. And then looking at, rather than having like a 5-year and a 1-year goal, since this is a half-year planner, I wanted to have a half-year goal. And then monthly, weekly, and daily habits that would help to get me to that half-year goal and eventually to that someday image of myself that supports that value that I have. But as you can see, I hit a lot of roadblocks to trying to fill this out. It felt like a lot. And so I think in 2025, I am likely going to narrow this down. I might keep these 6 pillars somewhere else because I do feel that that's valuable to kind of keep my sight on these are the most important areas of my life, and I want to make sure I'm cultivating those. But in terms of goals, I have goals, more things like improving playing on the piano and the ukulele, maybe learning to box, getting back into running a little bit more. So more specific goals that maybe aren't so broad, and that might help me to break those down a little bit better in here without feeling like it's such a big job. On the next page here, so I think this was it was a quarterly page. So in the Sterling Ink Common Planners, even when you get the half year, they still give you all 4 quarters of these kind of bigger picture planning pages. And I don't need the ones for the first half of the year because I use them in my first half of the year planner. And so I just had covered this one up with like a summertime vision board. So we did a lot of camping. We sat out a lot outside. We made our outside area really nice. I made this, I think, at the end of the summer, but these are all things that I wanted to include. Vacation, focus on just spending time outside, relaxing, having good vibes, and that sort of thing. And so I just wanted to remember. And I did have plans to do another vision board here for the next 2 months, September, October. That didn't happen. And then I also have plan to do one here for November, December. Hasn't happened yet. We'll see. And then getting into these quarterly pages. So my intention in these quarterly pages initially was to use them as trackers. This is what I've tried to do since I've had planners with these trackers in them. But because I'm guessing because of my ADHD, and my people with ADHD struggle with object permanence. And so I have kind of habits here that I track. And then on my daily pages, I track my sleep, I track my meals, and I kind of keep track in here of like I had those stickers earlier tracking when I get headaches and things like that. This is where I put these in my weekly pages. And because the weekly pages is the spread that I tend to just go to when I open my planner, I see these and I remember these. And these pages, because it's not a spread that I flip to, like I don't even have a bookmark on here right now, I don't remember to fill these out. And so usually by the time I remember, I have a month's worth of things that I want to be tracking. If you look into my last the first half of the year, I was tracking way more than this, and it was just so overwhelming to every month or so realize like, oh, I have to update this tracker. And my goal had been to like make a little chart here so that I could track my symptoms, so my vertigo and my headaches, along with other things. So when my anxiety is higher, I wanted to track like my cycle in here as well, so that I could kind of see if there was correlations. I could track my medication. I could track, just kind of those things that might be correlated to having the symptoms, because I'm really trying to understand if there's things that aggravate my symptoms or make them more severe or bring them on, versus if I have days that maybe I'm on my screens less and I'm tracking that and I see that that means that I have less symptoms, then I can have some really solid evidence. But again, because this is not a spread that I'm visiting regularly, it's not working that way. So I'm going to grab so this is my 2025 planner, and I do plan on making a setup video where I'll talk more in detail about what I'm planning on doing for each of the pages in here and how it'll be different or how it will be the same. But actually, so the new Sterling ink planners coming out, they have this full spread of 2025 yearly tracker. So it's kind of this spread here, but this 1 month and with the numbers all down the sides. But they have the whole year here. And I thought this might be a good place to have specifically as a health tracker. I could track my meds that I'm on. I could track my symptoms. I could track my mood, correlate it with my cycle, my sleep. I'm still figuring out exactly what that would look like in terms of the squares that we've got here, and whether I would use colors or I would have kind of a key and I could use symbols. But I thought I could put that there. I can bookmark it. It could be somewhere that maybe I'm visiting first thing every day or last thing at night before I go to bed, and updating it every day so that when I do talk to my doctor or my therapist, I have a place where I can really easily see, okay, I had a big string of headaches this month every single day, or, I changed my medication here, or I changed the dosage here. It would just be a good reference sheet. So I'm going to try that with this yearly tracker. I think that's a good use of this spread. And then what I'm planning to do for these quarterly trackers is actually make these into work planning pages. So the work that I do, I manage a nonprofit yoga collective, and we have a yoga studio in downtown Nanaimo. And so one thing I need to keep track of is events that are happening at the studio, whether it's events that we are running or whether it's events like rentals, like because we also rent out our studio to private practitioners who want to run their own events or classes. So I need to be able to keep that straight. And I do use, I'm very much a hybrid planner. So I do use digital planning as well. And I have a Gmail calendar where I can track that stuff. And that way my staff can also see when the studio is available and when it's being used. But for me, I like to have it visualized. And so what I have done, actually, I'm going to just flip back. So what I have been doing now, I think we can go. So looking into this Q4, I actually am starting to try out using this as a work planning system. So over here, priorities, and then October, November, December, I'm trying to write in my bigger picture planning priorities for those months. And then on the dated month at a glance side here, being able to just put in all of the things that are happening. And what I have been doing though, for this year is I've been putting those things in these monthly spreads. So the monthly spreads have kind of become my work planner spreads where I can write in all the events that are happening with the studio. And I had been color coding them. Let's see if I can find my, I think I got rid of it actually. I had a color code and now I'm not using a 3-color pen anymore. I'm just using a black ink. So I got rid of my sticker that had the code on it, but I had a code for example, like red was things that are happening in the studio that I don't need to be there for. Blue was things happening in the studio that I did need to be there for. And then green or maybe black was things that I needed to be there for, but that weren't at the studio. So anyway, I had like, I had a color coding system in here, but then I also wanted to start putting my tasks in here so that when I am working, because my work being kind of self-employed as a yoga teacher and being kind of the only administrative person that does any of the behind the scenes stuff for the yoga studio, I work in bits and pieces. My work is really integrated into my day rather than having like, here's an 8-hour chunk every day where I sit down and work. But I wanted to try to separate out my general week and my general plans here from actual nitty-gritty work stuff that I have every day to do. So I wanted to be able to flip to my work pages and only focus on work stuff during my allotted work times. And so it was really starting to get too crowded with having all of the events in here. So that is why I wanted to start putting them onto these pages, having all of the work events here, maybe color coded like I had before. But my problem with that is the reason I started putting them in this monthly calendar is because it really helped me to visualize whether I'm putting too many things into our calendar of the studio, because as I mentioned, I am the only person pretty much behind the scenes. And so I only have so much time and energy and capacity to market all of our events or to stay on top of the administrative stuff for our rentals and our events. And so if I cram too many into a month, then nobody comes to them because I don't get a chance to market them properly. So I like being able to see how things were spaced out on a monthly overview. I'm not sure that that's going to translate in my brain to if I have them listed here, because I like that, it's really easy to see Saturday, Sunday. You can see how many weekends are kind of filled up with things that are happening. Whereas this just being in a straight column, it's not, even though the weekends are shaded, it's in my brain, it's not as easy to see, oh yeah, this is a busy month, right? So anyway, that's an experiment I might be changing to. I feel like it will make sense, and I'm just kind of clarifying it. So before I talk more about it or set it up in here at all, I'm just letting it kind of percolate in my brain. So moving back to my monthly pages. So like I mentioned, I've started using these. I started actually back in the first half of the year using them pretty much just for work. Monthly spreads are something that I've always struggled with figuring out how to um, how to use them. And in most planners, and I've been using planners since I was in elementary school, and in most planners, the monthly spread just sat blank. It was wasted space in my planner because I never really knew how to use it. And also because, like I mentioned before, that object permanence issue where the weekly spread has always been the meat of my planning system and where I really am able to kind of break down my days and visualize my time. And so I'm not flipping to this monthly spread all the time. And so I forget. So I can't put things in here that I need to remember because I can't reliably say I'm going to be flipping to this every single day and referencing it. But I thought having it as a work planner was a good idea. But then I also started tracking the books that I'm reading, TV shows I'm watching, and podcasts that I'm listening to. So TV shows or movies, books, podcasts, and I really like being able to track that on a monthly basis. But that also fed into, now this was starting to feel too full. And I also was tracking my personal bills in here, like bills for our family, also tracking birthdays, not just for on my staff at the studio, but also personal birthdays. So it all just started to feel too crowded. So I still need to refine, I think, just making these monthly spreads my work planner pages and figuring out where else am I going to put these types of memory keeping things and personal things that I need to track. Where else am I going to put them? And I can put them in these weekly pages, but for some reason I have a bit of a blockade against pre-putting them. Like, I set these pages up every week on Thursdays. I start setting up the coming week. And so I kind of like decorate, and then I put in my tasks for the week, my appointments and all of that sort of stuff. And so obviously the logical place to put all of this stuff, if I'm not putting it in the monthly spread, is to just flip ahead to whatever the date is and put it into my weekly spread. But I kind of have like a mental block to doing that for some reason, because I do just set up this weekly page just a few days before the week actually happens. So I don't know. I think I need to just get over that and figure it out. So anyway, that remains to be seen. But for now, so this monthly spreads have mostly been work stuff, and then, but kind of also a mishmash of other things as well. And it's just gotten too crowded. So I also decided, I decorated these quite a lot. Again, mostly Graceful Muse papery. I got these, I put these for September because back to school. I got them from Let's Planet, which is a Canadian sticker shop as well. And I think they're really funny. But what I decided was, especially because these are going to be work pages, I want to keep the decor quite minimal moving forward. So unfortunately, I pre-decorated all of these monthly spreads when I moved into this half of the year. And so I can't now undecorate them, but I can just keep that as I keep it in mind for next year. So this is the current month, and this is how I've most successfully used it for work. So having the events in here that I need to be present for. I do have some in here that I didn't need to be present for, but hopefully I'm going to be moving those out into my those monthly tracker pages. And then these little stickies. So these are recurring tasks, and it's been really, really helpful to have these recurring work tasks on stickies and then putting them just beside the week that each task needs to get done in, because then I can, once that is done for this week, for this month, like this one is done, my finances, which I usually do the first week of the month, I can just take it and I can stick it on the next month. And then when I get to that next month, I can remember like, oh yeah, that's my big task for this week. And I can slot it in, where am I going to do that this week, so I don't forget. So that has been super helpful. I'm trying to figure out what to do with these bigger circle stickies. And so this I made a little work to-do list on. I also have written out, so this is like a pencil board that I got from Graceful Muse in one of my orders, and I stuck on it, I have this Priority Flow notepad from Hemlock and Oak, and so you can brain dump just everything that needs to get done. And then you pull out what is the most important thing that needs to get done right this instant. What are you going to do right after? And then the things that you can do later on that are urgent. So maybe, you know, maybe you're going to do these things this week sometime, and then later not urgent. Maybe they're kind of more abstract or bigger tasks that are just floating around in your brain. And I really like that. So I stuck that onto the back of that pencil board. I thought I could use that every month because I'll get a Graceful Muse papery order on a monthly basis. So I thought that could kind of be my bookmark for my monthly page, but I will need to get something that's going to stick up off the top or I will forget to check it. I get frustrated with myself because I am really good at setting up systems, but because I have that issue with object permanence, if I don't remember to go back to it, which I often don't, unless I have a visual cue, then it just sits here. And so, for example, like this brain dump, I haven't finished parsing this out into when I'm going to do it or actually parsing it onto the individual days. And so it doesn't help me in my actual execution of tasks if I'm not looking at it regularly. And if I don't take that time, I call it front-loading executive function. If I don't take that time to actually slot the tasks in on the day that they need to get done and then look at that day and remember that it needs to get done. Because I will plan a full day of tasks for myself and then forget to look at my planner and just happily go through that whole day thinking I have nothing to do. It's so amazing because I just forgot to look again at that day or that month and the square of the month and see actually that I do have things to do. Anyway, so that's a work in progress. I am a work in progress and I'm doing my best. Since I got diagnosed with ADHD, I have been able to give myself so much more empathy in terms of just giving understanding why I struggle with that sort of thing and giving myself that grace to be okay with just the way my brain is, and then also start to build in systems like bookmarks that have little things that actually stick up, because that really helps me to remember, oh yeah, I have to look at that page. So anyway, I'm working on it. So this is December, and again, I pre-decorated. Unfortunately, I do have, you know, all of sorts of the personal stuff in here, but luckily it's not too crowded, so I'll be filling that out. This planner has a monthly that goes into January, but likely I will be starting to transition into the 2025 planner, so I won't be using this too much unless I need to write things down in advance. And then getting into my weekly pages. So this is the current week. Yesterday was my birthday and I spent the day at the spa, which is amazing. But I'm actually going to flip one back to last week because I think this is a good indication of how I use my week when I don't have a special anomaly day right in the middle there. So if you have watched my Plan With Me videos so far, you can kind of see how I get to this state of a weekly spread. But essentially I take some time on Thursday. I don't teach any classes, and I try to give myself Thursday as a day. My kids are at school. My husband goes to work usually on Thursdays. So I have the house to myself. It's very quiet. I try not to schedule myself in any work. So you can see on Thursdays, I usually try to don't put a work sticker. I try not to schedule myself anything if I can help it on a Thursday during the day. And it's kind of my one day that if I need to recover and just laze around in my pajamas all day, I can. If I have work that I didn't get done or wasn't able to get done earlier in the week, it's a makeup day. Maybe I do more things around the house, that sort of thing. So anyway, I do try to set up my week on Thursdays. Usually I have my planner and then I have my computer in front of me and I go through my digital calendar with my husband. So we share a digital calendar that has all of our household and family appointments and other things in it. And then I also have my own work calendar. So I just go through all of that and I fill in all my appointments. I fill in when I'm dropping off and picking up the kids. And then you typically use two colors, and I go with whatever the color theme that I've kind of chosen in terms of decor for the week, and then I'll pull out colors that I think coordinate pretty well. This is still something I'm working on, because I look back and I am like, ugh, I think a lot of this just seems so messy, especially by the end, when I've also kind of scribbled in tasks to get accomplished, and then things get scratched out and all that sort of thing. But I'm doing my best again, so that's fine. Yeah, so I go through and I put in all my appointments, and then from there I add in what are my work hours. I add in what are my household tasks for the week. So I make sure that I get in that I'm doing a load of laundry every day. I have a whole system for laundry that's been working really well that I'm happy to share another time. I try to do meal prep on Monday mornings. And then on Monday afternoons, because both my husband and I work from home on Mondays, so we have a little date lunch usually on Mondays, and we can go over kind of our plan for the week, our budget, and then we work together. So we'll either go out and have lunch or get a coffee and work together, or we'll just work together at home and he picks up the kids. And so Monday afternoons are my afternoon to actually get like a chunk of work done into the afternoon after school pickup, because he hangs out with the kids after school on Mondays. All my other work hours are in between drop off and pick up, so just while the kids are at school. So I kind of outline when are my work hours for the week. I make sure to put in all the times I'm going to walk the dog whenever it's my responsibility. And then I mark things like if we have our cleaner coming. I mark in tasks. So I have daily tasks that I do every morning. I have tasks that I do on Saturdays, and then I have at the bottom my habit tracking. So every week, and it's changed since I think I had more earlier in the year. I'm working on my 500-hour yoga teacher certification. So I was trying to do a little segment of it. It's all online and pre-recorded. So trying to do a segment every day, got busy. I'm going to come back to that. That'll be one of my goals for 2025. Luckily it's self-paced. Anyway, so some of that stuff, it kind of falls off, especially if I put it in here and it's just not happening. So I try to just give myself grace there, and I know I'll come back to it and find a way to incorporate it. But I try not to beat myself up. So anyway, the ones that I've kind of stuck with, I write check-in here, and I just put a little X every time I am checking in with my planner, because like I mentioned before, the checking in is where you actually are translating from doing the planning to actually doing the things that you've planned yourself to do. And so I want to make sure that I'm not just planning, which is very fun for me and very fulfilling, but actually then coming into my planner throughout the day, every day, and actually consulting it, so I'm not forgetting things, and so I'm getting the things done that I've allotted myself to do in those days and in those times of the day. I also track my water. So my goal is 8 glasses of water every day, which is 2 liters. So I track my water. I track my meditation, which I've absolutely fallen off of doing a morning meditation, and I'm currently in a process of trying to find a time during the day that is sustainable for me to get in a meditation session every day. In the morning, it hasn't been sustainable lately because either I've been sleeping in later, or when I do get up earlier, my daughter, who's a Velcro kiddo, she gets up at the same time. And although I can say to her, this is meditation time, if you're going to be down here with me, you need to be sitting quietly. I can say that and she can try, but it's very difficult. And also having her kind of like snuggled right up to me, it's just not the same. It's just not the same as if I'm meditating by myself. So I'm working on finding another time that I can consistently meditate every day. I track my movement every day. So I try to either get out for a walk or a hike with the dog, get in a workout, a run, or sometimes I row. So I've gotten back into the habit of going to rowing practice on Sundays, which has been amazing. We row on the lake in Nanaimo, and I love it so much. Or at the very least, I teach yoga a couple times a week, and I'm relatively active demoing all the postures. It's not quite the same as like a full workout, but that's why I'm not tracking workouts. I'm tracking movement. My goal is to move my body every day. So especially with my symptoms, which I think sometimes will flare up with too much strenuous movement. I don't want to put that pressure on myself, and so I'm just tracking movement. And then I'm tracking the books that I'm reading as well. So I was just reading Skylar Baylor, I think his name is, a swimmer who's trans, and I was reading his book recently. I was reading a book called Happy Place. I am now reading a book called Manhunt, which I am loving. It is a post-apocalyptic horror novel, so it's probably not for everybody, but it's amazing. It also has trans themes in it. And it's just, the writing is phenomenal. So I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, so I just have been tracking what books I've been reading down here. Sometimes I track how much time I read, like check off a box for every 10 minutes. But then sometimes I don't do that. Anyway, I go back and forth. So yeah, so that's pretty much how I use these pages. They're pretty crammed full of so much information, because when I go through and kind of outline my week on Thursdays, it looks really neat and clean and tidy. And then I come back on Sunday, so the day before the week starts, and I tend to slot in just kind of every single little thing. So also music practice for my kids. I try to slot in maybe if I can pre-plan what are my work tasks going to be, although moving more into leaning on these monthly pages, I'm hoping to just put my daily tasks in there for work, so they're not crowding up these pages. I also, there was something else I was going to put in here. Oh, I do put in kind of memory. So we got gingerbread coffee for an espresso machine. Actually, my mom sent it to me, which is nice. I met my friend for lunch. I had a girls' night this night. So things like that, I'm trying to put in memories as well. And trying to track things, because this is the page that I tend to open to and have open when I'm consulting my planner. This is really my workhorse. And so I guess as much as I want it to look pretty and aesthetic when I'm done with it, this is really more of a realistic view of what my life is like when I'm actually barreling through a week. So I don't know, maybe it needs to change, or maybe this is just how I plan. I also have a spot up here to put in our meals. That hasn't translated to this week, although I know we did plan out our dinners for the week. My husband and I take turns making dinner, and I know that we do plan them out. Sometimes I write them in, and then you can see the blank ones are when he's cooking dinner, so I don't always get out of him at the start of the week, like what is he planning to make. But if I have planned it for myself, then I know what I'm planning to make on the days. It just doesn't always get into the planner. So apparently last week it did not. Oh, apparently this week it did not either. And then I'm using these squares at the top here to just put in any important information that I need to know right at the start of the day. So for example, last Friday there was no school. Monday there was no school. Birthdays I can put in here, bills due. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I was saying before, I want to take that stuff out of these monthly pages. I don't want to have birthdays, personal birthdays and things like that in here anymore. I just want this to be work pages. So this is what I'm trying to put in here in advance, that I'm just struggling a little bit with for some reason. So anyway, that's what I'm using that kind of top column for. Yeah, I think I've pretty much covered all of that. I guess I could talk about this sidebar a little bit. So the sidebar has always been to me where you kind of brain dump your to-do list, and then you know what you have to get done every week. And so that's usually what I do. But again, unless I'm actually going through this to-do list, like I mentioned with this work to-do list, unless I'm actually going through then this weekly to-do list, this brain dump, and then slotting things into the specific days or times that they're going to happen, they don't tend to get done. And it's really frustrating. So I don't know. I think that's kind of one of the big things that I struggle with. And I know that that's an ADHD thing, because a lot of the things that I'll put in this column are things that don't have deadlines or that don't have hard deadlines, because I do work for myself. So things that I know I should get done for work or that would be helpful in terms of the work, you know, growing our membership and things like that. But because they don't have a hard deadline, I don't feel that urgency to actually get them done, and they tend to just stay in the sidebar. And so so that's kind of an ongoing issue that I've had, but I'm just going to flip back until I find, so you see, like some weeks I just don't even put anything in there because I know that I'm not going to get them done. I just want to flip back until I find my, oh yeah, here. So one thing that I was trying to do with this sidebar was to do some of that tracking that I was talking about, my symptoms, and trying to find correlations. So HV is headaches and vertigo. S, I think, was screen time, and then A is anxiety level. So I was trying to track those to see if there was a correlation, and then my plan had been to then put them into these quarterly pages into a longer graph that I could also track my period, just to give me more of a monthly overview. And I liked doing that, but it kind of fell off. So that's something that I can kind of think about, whether that is a useful tool to have for myself and how I can make that work moving into the new year. So to-dos and tracking are the things I struggle with. Yeah, so that's monthly pages, and then weekly pages, and then my daily pages. So they tend to be pretty artistic because the Sterling and Common planners, these standard ones, the half year or the full year, they have enough that you have a full page for every single day of the year. So I have been using them to journal a little bit. I've been practicing my hand lettering. I've been decorating. I track here my sleep, my meals, and then I put just everything in here. Task lists. I put task lists. I write daily schedules. Like I mentioned, I journal. I'm trying to find an example of, oh yeah, so I'll also memory keep in here, and I'll do kind of like here, cover pages, which I really enjoy doing, because they're just cute when you when you're flipping back through your planner, which I do a lot. I keep all my old planners. It's just cute to like look back on things that are a little more artistic, but I'm not a super artistic person. And so, often I'll leave this as a blank spread, and then I'll start my dailies for the following month, and I don't come back to it until like mid-month. Like, I don't know if I did end up making one for November. Yeah, I haven't yet. So I just have this blank spread, and luckily I even remembered to put it in there because actually just started into November. Yeah, so I just started into November and then realized that, oh yeah, I didn't do a November cover page. So eventually that'll show up there. But I wanted to actually just mention, so moving into 2025, the planner that I've chosen is actually the compact common planner. It's a full year, but it's a compact. So instead of having one back page for every single day of the year, there's 119 pages in the back instead. And the reason I did that was because I really want to continue supporting Hemlock and Oak, because they're a local British Columbia company, which is local to me, and their efforts for sustainability and their consciousness around environmental stuff is just so inspiring. So I want to ensure that I'm continuing to support them. And one of the things that I like to buy from them is journals. And so one of the reasons that I chose to move into the compact was because I want to stop journaling in these pages, and I want to have all my journaling happen in my Hemlock and Oak journal. And then these pages would be more strictly for collections, and maybe like I would have 1 week on 2 pages. So I kind of did the math, and let me just show you at the beginning of, this is from when I visited my best friend in Denver. I've got pictures here that I printed out, but I haven't stuck them in yet. Anyway, that was just the best time of my whole life. I met a lot of memory keeping in here, but at the beginning of my daily pages here, so I have a couple of spreads that I track things. So like allowance for my kids, health claims that we get reimbursed from our extended health care. This is supposed to be an index, but I apparently don't use indexes because object permanence. Hooray. Anyway, at least I remember to keep going back to these spreads. So I want to have those in my new planner. And then I think I did the math, and if I had a certain number of spreads that I need, like allowance and health claims, then I have enough back pages for a 2-page spread for each week. And then occasional, maybe I would do like a collage of photos from a trip and things like that. And then this 2-page spread for the week would be really just specifically like a task list or a schedule for the day. So it would really just be kind of more productivity focused. And then my more personal thoughts and journaling or things like that would go into that Hemlock and Oak journal that I'm half through one right now, and I'm hoping to get a new one for the new year for 2025. So yeah, so it's not going to be this fancy anymore. It's going to be a lot more functional, but definitely will still have some decor in there. So that's pretty much it. That's how I use my planner. Oh, this is an interesting little side note. So actually 2 little side notes. So I had initially tried having a section at the back of these notes pages for work notes, so meetings and things like that, specifically for work. But I actually ended up hating that. And the reason I initially had done it was because in my previous planner, all my work meeting notes and things like that were just all mixed into my daily pages, and then I never consulted them again. So I thought if I had a section for them that would make it easier to reference, I would go back and consult them, but I haven't. And I honestly almost always forget even to check this as well. So what I'm likely going to do, I did buy these idea notebooks, and they're from Kokuyo, which is a Japanese planner company. And it's a B6 slim size. So that actually would tuck right in here, kind of in the same way that this pencil board does. And I thought it's great to have a separate notebook for work notes and meeting notes that I can just write them in here. I can take just this with me. If I don't bring my whole planner out with me, I can have just my work notebook, and I can do like my finances, any work meeting notes, that sort of thing in there. So that might be an addition to my planner for 2025. And then at the back here, so I also got from Kokuyo a Jaibun Techo. It's like a little insert for a traveler's notebook, but I've just stuck it in the back here. So this is what I can put receipts in for work, cash when I need to bring it to the bank to deposit, and cards from people who maybe I want to connect with in the future. So I just got that recently and tucked that in there. Yeah, so that's about it. That's kind of how I use my planner. If you have suggestions on, the goal setting pages, if you have suggestions for me on these quarterly planning pages, if you have suggestions for me on these monthly pages, especially if you are someone who also has ADHD like I learned I do, and you understand kind of executive dysfunction or struggles with executive function, if you understand struggles with object permanence, and you have the same experience as I do of just forgetting to open to those pages, let me know your strategies, because I would love to hear them. So leave me a comment if you have any strategies or suggestions, or even if you just want to say, oh my gosh, I deal with that too. So thank you for talking about it, because it's really important to me to talk about that stuff. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out. I will be back again with another Plan With Me video for the upcoming week once I get that done. And I hope you have a great day.